Islam, Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum, Hola, Aloha, Osio, Bonjour. This is your brother Zach Bey, Indigenous American Moor, coming to you live and in full effect. Thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel. Hit that thumbs up, interact with my content, leave a comment. I really appreciate you. Once again, I want to dive into the subject or topic of reparations, and not just reparations, but how after we receive reparations, how we can plan a curriculum of education, because I believe education, reparations plus education will help close the racial wealth gap here in America, um, for the descendants of American chattel slavery, American Indians, Moors here in America. Um, so just to start it off with, I would say, well, pretty much just to put it like this, I've heard people ask the question or pose the question, what will reparations do, or how will they help if all our people do is spend with the oppressor, or if our people got the finances, all we would do is give it back to the people who have been oppressing us, and a lot of us, a lot of our people would be, I guess, broke within a matter of years or months or something like that. Pretty much people think that uninformed or uneducated people with finances will just blow it and waste the money and end up back in the same situation, and the problem will not be solved. That's possible. I definitely believe that that's possible, but because the lack of financial literacy, in the younger community, and definitely in the so-called Black community, the Moorish community, the American Indian community, um, financial financial literacy and economics, I think, would be some of the main and primary goals, or like the curriculum for like an education after reparations would be given for American chattel slavery, to the descendants. And yeah, I really believe like fields as far as and like this will be like mandatory. Like our our nation of people would have to take this curriculum as far as bettering our community. And this wouldn't be government mandated, but it would just be like, I could imagine something on the lines of, maybe there's a fund that everybody who receives reparations would fund into. Therefore, that would help us as a community have a curriculum and actually afford to pay the people, the teachers who would be teaching our people this. And I wanted to take it all the way across the whole board, like across to I want men to have certain courses that they would take. I want women to have certain courses that they would take. Children would have certain courses that they would take. And, just to pretty much lock in on the exact need of said individuals, um, the exact needs of women, or how women can help in our community with the finances, or the lessons on financial literacy, how children can help invest in their future on finances and not make mistakes and pitfalls, and learning contract law and things like that, about financial literacy. Because to tell the truth, a lot of children in our community grow up and they turn 18 years old, and they're very, very fast to sign their name on a dotted line and sign contracts, and they have no idea what kind of stipulations, what kind of hidden fees or fine print. They might not read the full contract, and we're just opting into contracts as soon as we get old enough to sign our autograph on a line. So I think that's very, very important to teach children about the importance of economics and financial literacy, specifically to help our community, specifically on our historical plights, that our people have faced financially in this country, so we won't repeat those mistakes, and we won't fall for those pitfalls. We won't invest into another Freedmen's Bank, where all those funds were pretty much just unaccounted for. The descendants from the Freedmen's Bank, when it closed down, just didn't get the funds that they were promised. The funds just so happened to disappear, even after Frederick Douglass helped fund and keep that open for the descendants of American chattel slavery and the survivors of American chattel slavery during that time. Right after the Civil War and emancipation, a proclamation, and after those laws were passed and the old way of American chattel slavery had been subverted or changed into the more corporate system that we have now, the corporation system that we have now. When American chattel slavery first changed, it was just a lot of freedmen who were out with the skills to do the jobs and to do the work, and we were building flourishing towns. That's actually how the so-called Negro Wall Street sprang up. We have all these people who were free from their contracts, free from servitude, free from indentured contracts, for indentured servitude. Just a lot of bodies that were just out there. So they came up with like vagrancy laws and different things like that to actually like rearrest our people and force them back into physical slavery and bondage. So just having the ability to do something without a direction was, I'm not going to say it was chaotic, but it was very unorganized. Things were in disarray. It was, I really think it was a huge mistake that our people didn't rally together in a large enough way to make a substantial change. Even though when our people did rally together and pool resources and finances together to back candidates, a lot of times those candidates were, if they did gain office, they were threatened. Their land or property might have been threatened or burned, their family, and a lot of times they were run out of town, especially in the South. So our people really need to focus on how we can defend our financial independence and freedom and wealth once we do obtain it, and how we can learn about the mistakes that we have made in the past, or the tactics of the adversary or the oppressors that they have done in the past to deprive us or to steal the wealth that we have gained or accumulated in some way, shape, or form. So men should be educated on a certain curriculum in economics and financial literacy. Women should be educated on economics and financial literacy, and children should be educated on economics and financial literacy. And these can happen in separate groups. And then also we can do different education on ages and things like that, like what age you are going into, what you should have established, starting families, getting married. We should bring back these institutions to build up our community as a stronger nuclear unit. Also, we should focus on education on proper diet, because diet and fitness, because the so-called American diet is not based on our actual needs for our diet. You can check out Dr. Layla Africa. He speaks a lot on health and nutrition. RIP to the ancestor, he's passed now. Dr. Sabi, RIP to the ancestor, he passed now. They spoke a lot on the proper nutrition that our people need specifically, because the American diet and I guess the levels of certain biological aspects in our body physiologically are based on the so-called Caucasian or European male. And if our if the medical system like takes a test on us, they base what's normal in the parameters of what's normal for a Caucasian or European male, uh, what's normal for their age range. For that's pretty much all across the spectrum for the medical field. So we need specific education on that: diet and fitness, healthcare, our historical plights. We need education specifically on law, education on ownership, education on block voting. That's very, very important. How we as a community can vote as a block, as a unit, and we can have power behind a certain candidate once they make promises to us as constituents. Also, we can focus on education on backing our own lobbyists. Once we have financial literacy and freedom, we can actually place people in in the political arena to actually lobby and fight for things or bills that are beneficial to our community, that are beneficial to our people or our plans for the future. We need to focus on our future projections. We need to focus on where we want our people to be as a unit in the future. We can't continue to let other outside forces, other outside nations project or predict where our people will be in the future. The Agenda 2024, the UN Plan 2030 is on some outrageous New World Order type stuff, even though the so-called fact checker said it's been debunked. But I want to make a separate video about this topic altogether. But the Agenda 2040 pretty much says by the year 2040, they projected that the average so-called black household's net worth will be $0. So if by 2040 they expect the average household of a so-called black person in America to be $0, your net worth, where do they expect us to go? How do they expect us to live? What's supposed to happen to us if we're worth nothing? You know what I'm saying? As a family unit, or even as an individual, because we already know that the average wealth of a household for a so-called white or European American is 10 times greater than the average annual wealth of a so-called black household, or American Indian household, Moorish household. So these are just some of the things I feel like we should focus on education once we do get reparations, or along with reparations, because nobody can force us to do anything. Nobody can force us to get educated, but us as a people, as a community, as a nation, we have to focus on how we need to educate our people and what we need to do to move forward positively in the future with the finances that we have, and not just give it back to the people who have been oppressing us for years. Because if you think about it, in this financial system, most of the huge names, and when I say names, I mean corporations, most of the huge corporations are names, and they're backed by families. And these families are not Moorish families. They're not American Indian families. They're not so-called black families. They're European families. They're Asian families. They're Hindustani families. They're so-called Jewish families. They're all kinds of different other groups or nations of people, and we're financing them by whatever we want, whatever clothing we buy. We're not creating it. It's not our brand. Women buying hair products, makeup products, sneakers, shoes. We're buying from people who are not putting anything in our pockets, who are barely hiring our people, who are barely looking out for our people. They're not donating to any organizations, any foundations that are specifically for our people, and we are making them rich. I'm so sick and tired of personally, I'm sick and tired of seeing celebrities give free promotions for all of these luxury brands, and they're not footing them any kind of tab. They're not giving them any kind of sponsorship. They're not giving them any kind of finance. People are always advertising luxury brands of alcoholic beverages or luxury brands of clothing, and these people are not backing them. These people are not giving them any kind of finance. So we need to look forward, and this year in 2024 Gregorian calendar year, it really needs to be no more free promo. All celebrities who aren't getting paid by these people, all artists who aren't getting paid by these people, all influencers who are not getting paid by these people, stop doing the free promo. Cover up the labels. Whatever you got to do, throw some tape on it, wrap a piece of paper around it with some tape, cover up the labels. Don't even show it. If you're drinking out of a soda and that soda brand is not paying you, don't give them free promo. Stop letting them eat off of us for free. I really wanted to focus on that, because the financial literacy and the education that our people desperately need in order for reparations to really make a difference, and we don't just give it back to our oppressors, is really, really important to me. The currency in our community needs to circulate more. We need to build up our community to make sure our dollar stays in our community and actually circulates in our community. It passes from one hand that looks like ours to another hand that looks like ours. You go to the dry cleaners, it's owned by us. That dry cleaner goes to the grocery store. The grocery store is owned by us. The owner of that grocery store goes to the bank to deposit that. That bank is owned by us. The money keeps changing hands, and it's owned by it's not going to anybody's hand who isn't one of us. That's how other communities do it. And that's how they have been doing it for a long time. But they tell us not to do it. They tell us that everything should be for everybody, that we should just let everybody get in. We should all go along to get along, when yet they're helping their communities financially off of our back, off of our virtues. And I'm so tired of that happening. I really just wanted to touch on a few of these topics. I didn't want to make the video too long. Once again, this is your brother Zach Bey, Indigenous American Moore. Please like, share, subscribe, share the content if you like it. Leave a comment down below. I really like to hear from you. Peace. Wado.